Afternoon and welcome to everyone joining us for this timely webinar. My name is Catherine Reed, and I serve as the CEO of American Friends of Magen David Adom. Magen David Adom is the national emergency medical and services system of the State of Israel, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they are responsible for the emergency medical and blood services of the entire population of the State of Israel, including the IDF. They are also the medical mass casualty partner for the IDF, facing danger and extraordinary challenges as they rescue those impacted by the conflict. We would prefer not to be in the position of drawing attention to ourselves because of a war. But when a crisis strikes Israel, the world knows that Magen David Adom is on the front lines. Indeed, over the last 2 days, CNN, NBC, and other major news networks have come to the Marcus National Blood Services Center to report on Israel's blood supply and its underground command center. Others will be there soon. And so today, we are bringing you experts on the situation in the Middle East and Magen David Adom. Ambassador Gilad Erdan continues a distinguished public service career, having served in the Knesset for over 20 years, during which he held several important ministerial appointments. He is also known internationally for his role as Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, where he was a fierce advocate for the State of Israel. He is also one of only 2 Israeli leaders to have served simultaneously as ambassador to the UN and ambassador to the United States. Since the fall of 2024, Ambassador Erdan has served as MDA's global president. Shacham is a lifelong paramedic who started his career at MDA at the age of 15. He serves as the Deputy Director General and Chief of Staff of Magen David Adom. And moderating our conversation this afternoon is Ruth Wasserman Lande. Ruth is a former member of the Knesset. She served as a Deputy Israeli Ambassador to Egypt and is recognized expert on Arab affairs. She currently also serves as the head of global strategy at Magen David Adom. Please join me in welcoming these 3 incredibly impressive individuals. Ruth, please take it away.
So good evening, everyone. Good afternoon to those who are in the United States and Canada. It is a huge honor for me to be in this cap of being the head of the global strategy in Magen David Adom. It's shlichut, a true calling for me, for our people and for this country. And first and foremost, I commend AFMDA and our Canadian friends, and also all of you who took your time to listen and to join and to really feel together with us the quite surreal situation at the moment in Israel and in the region in general, and to be a part of this with us together. So thank you. It is a great honor for me also to have this conversation with Uri Shacham and with Ambassador Gilad, Erdan, and I would like to begin with your permission, Gilad, and ask you the following. As former Israeli ambassador to the UN and the US, could you please shortly explain what is the significance of the current operation? And given that we hear that Israel was dragged, so-called, or actually dragged the US into this war, please clarify what are the main interests and objectives of Israel on the one hand and the US on the other?
Thank you, Ruth, and let me join you and Kathy in thanking all the people who are here with us on this call. I know that many of you are friends and supporters of Magen David Adom, so I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart as Magen David Adom's global president, because thanks to your friendship and support, we are saving really so many lives in Israel and not only in Israel. So thank you very, very much. Ruth, I think that it's really hard to exaggerate in the importance of the current operation. I believe that this is maybe the most important operation that Israel has been conducting maybe since the Yom Kippur War. Because we have a rare window of opportunity since the Islamic Revolution back in 1979, maybe to defeat not only Israel's biggest enemy, but also one of the United States' biggest enemy. Of course, I'm talking about the Islamic Republic of Iran. And we all know that Iran swore not only to destroy the state of Israel as first step. They call us the little Satan. They call the United States the big Satan. They chant death to Israel, death to America. But they are also the number one state sponsor of terrorism. Their goal is to export the Shiite revolution to the entire world. First, they want to impose their hegemony over the Middle East. By the way, that's why their main military force, the IRGC, is called revolutionary, because they view themselves as rebels, and they want to export their revolution and impose it on the entire world. I think that it's important to remember and understand that Iran's plot was to basically surround Israel with a ring of fire by arming their terrorist proxies, be it Hamas or Hezbollah or the Islamic Jihad or the Houthis. That's why they armed them with hundreds of thousands of missiles and rockets. And simultaneously, they advanced towards acquiring nuclear capabilities that would allow them to provide their terrorist proxies with a nuclear umbrella once they'll attack together Israel, and we will be attacked from several fronts, and the world would have a real dilemma whether to help us or even to intervene, because Iran would threaten the world to use its nuclear weapons. As I described, the Iran is also an enemy of the United States. Iran is responsible for the maiming and killings of hundreds, maybe thousands of Americans, sometimes directly, sometimes through their terrorist proxies. And I think we should all remember that Iran is also a major part of the axis of evil. Iran has signed strategic agreements with both China and Russia, the main adversaries of the United States. Iran is supplying, I think, 10 or 15% of the oil of China. Iran is supplying attack drones to Russia that were used to kill Ukrainian civilians. And of course, a terrible rogue state like Iran, if they acquire nuclear capabilities in addition to the thousands of ballistic missiles that they already have, this is an imminent and a direct threat not only against Israel but against the entire free world, definitely against the United States. So we have been fighting with Iran and their proxies for years, and now, yeah, it happened after October 7th that we succeeded, thank God, to weaken their terrorist proxies. And I called it a rare window of opportunities because we could all see that the poor people of Iran who are being oppressed during the last 47 years, they marched and they protested against the regime. And President Trump, he was the one, and I'm starting now to refer to the false accusations about Israel dragging America to a war of choice, a war that is not unnecessary, not needed. Everyone understands that these are falsehoods. President Trump was the one who drew a red line when it comes to how the Iranian regime dealt with the demonstration, and when it was proven that they have slaughtered more than 30,000 protesters, and in addition, it became clear that they are doing everything possible to accelerate their nuclear capabilities and also to take underground their ballistic missiles and all of their facilities. Basically, they try to move them underground. So, as Secretary Rubio explained, it became an imminent threat because it's either fighting this war now when we have the upper hand and we have the best timing because Iran has never been weaker than it is today, or waiting for the future and just think about Churchill or Chamberlain and the dilemmas that they had in the past when to attack Nazi Germany. And I believe this is the same dilemma. It's either fighting this just war now when we have maybe the best chances and we see what's happening every day. We are crushing them. We are destroying their ballistic missile. We are destroying their ships. We are
And it's
weakening
also
the administration dramatically, or we can wait and for the future, and then we might jeopardize everything and might find ourselves in a much worse situation. So,
thank
and one last sentence. Let's all remember that in the eyes of Israel, without a regime change, it won't be enough. Every achievement that we will have, if this regime succeeds to survive, that this radical ideology continues, and we will have to face the same threats, but for the long term in the future, maybe with a different president that won't be willing to do the same bold to take the same bold steps that President Trump took, and I salute him for his courage and bold decisions.
Thank you, Ambassador Gilad. I just want to add that it's quite clear that not only Israel has an interest of a regime change, but the Iranian people that have very clearly demonstrated their own wish to change the regime by the very bravery that they showed by going to the streets and actually putting their lives in danger. So thank you very, very much for your words and for this great analysis. Ori, as the chief of staff of the Israeli National Emergency Medical Response Body, mandated to respond to every injury call and medical emergency, basically from a car crash to a huge ballistic missile attack, can you describe to us the current state of affairs at Magen David Adom, like the day to day? Bring us into what you and your colleagues do 24/7, because really to see it is to believe it. So if you can try to make us live it, please.
Thank you, Ruth. First, I would like to join the global president of MADA, the ambassador, and yourself, and thank everybody that joined us this afternoon. For us Israelis that always feel that they are all alone in this world, seeing hundreds of people coming here today just to hear about Magen David Adom, this is something that personally make me proud, and I will convey this feeling to others. Well, for Magen David Adom, the daily operations are basically to support, I would say, the national effort in this war. And what do I mean? The IDF, as everybody knows, has two missions. He is now dealing in the war outside of the borders, and the second mission is to protect the country against incoming missiles, and they've been doing a great job. Nevertheless, from time to time, a missile do hit, and this is where Magen David Adom main task comes into action. We are actually Magen David Adom men and women are fully mobilized from Saturday morning. The 39,000 staff members meant the entire fleet of ambulances, the
The
entire fleet of
volunteers.
yes, but 90% of them are volunteers, Ruth. That's true. The entire fleet of mobile intensive care unit. And we are actually responding for any emergency caused by Iranian attacks on civilian population. Now, if a ballistic missile is shot towards Israel, Magen David Adom gets a head notice. We are connected to the alerting system of the home front command, and within our computerized system, we can see what's the projected hitting point of a missile. So when all the Israelis are going into the shelters and are sitting then and are waiting for the home front command to tell them, listen, you can go out, Magen David Adom people are actually actively seeking for where the missile is going to hit. And when we know this, we are not waiting for somebody to call. We are actively sending ambulances, paramedics, our EMTs who use one of the hundreds motorcycles that we have in order to get to this suspected hitting point locations and actively search for victims. Why do we do this? Because we cannot wait 10 or 15 minutes for somebody to come out of the shelters and say, listen, somebody was hit just next to my building. So we send our teams ahead of the call, just based on sensor from the home front command, based on a sensor from a third party company that send us indications that vehicles are sensing blast wave. It send the information to Magen David Adom emergency dispatch center, and
So
thus
you're talking
using
about
many.
top-notch, sorry, Ori, to bother you, but you're talking about top-notch technologies that are basically in the hands of Magen David Adom to save lives.
Basically, Magen David Adom for the last more than a decade is operating top-notch technology for the daily operations to find out who is the nearest paramedic for somebody who is undergoing a heart attack, for a woman that gives birth to a baby. These people cannot wait until an ambulance gets there. They need to receive an immediate response, and we are doing this with 15,000 on-call volunteers, what we call first responders, who are dispatched. And you know, Ruth, we are doing this on a daily operations because what's happening on the daily operations will happen during emergency times. For us, emergency times are peak times. This is the real test where everything that's going on, everything that we have developed, all the commitment and the professionalism of the staff comes into actions, and we are able to provide. But not only the ambulance services. From as early as 10 a.m. on Saturday morning, Magen David Adom has launched a national blood drive campaign because we have to ensure that the state of Israel, that the hospitals and the IDF has enough blood for any injured person, for any one who needs this liquid of life. But this time it's different from normal days because people are they have to feel secure. So Magen David Adom open up blood drive campaign in shelters in secured
Amazing.
places, so people would feel comfortable in coming and doing so.
Amazing.
Yeah,
And I just want to say that from my eyes and my ears, there's no night, there's no day. It's 24/7. You and your colleagues, and I say this with huge pride, are always at it. It's unbelievable how you continue to stand on your feet, but it's a complete effort day and night around the clock. It just doesn't end. And also go out into the region where the ballistic missiles fell and put yourselves at risk in order to
indeed.
save lives.
Ruth, you know the Magen David Adom teams, but when you go into an ambulance, when you go into an emergency center, you actually are seeing the best of the Israeli society, because all you see is women and men, Jews, Christians, and Muslims, Druze. They are all working together, and they are fully committed. They are the one that are running to fire when everybody else run away from fire. They put themselves in harm's way to take care of somebody whom they never met, whom they never know, just
And
because
especially
he
now.
or she are in it.
So, Uri, thank you so much for the moment, and I'll come back to you, of course. But Gilad, you served, of course, as Minister of Homeland Security in Israel, and you were in charge, amongst other things, of exactly this, the national body, the Magen David Adom, and the resilience thereof of the Israeli people in terms of medical emergencies. Um, as a longtime former senior member in top decision-making circles, tell us, how long do you predict this war will take place? Like how long? What is in? What should we expect?
Thank you. Let me start with the first part of your question. So I was in charge of the Israeli first responders, and basically responsible for Israel's preparedness for every emergency. And for years, even before I was appointed as Magen David Adom's global president, I used to call Magen David Adom Israel's I mean, the backbone of Israel's resilience, national resilience. And that is why, because Magen David Adom thwarts, foils exactly the plot of our enemies. And what do I mean? Look at what's happening right now in Israel. I think that the importance of Magen David Adom, their capabilities right now during Operation Roaring Lion, and it was seen also during Operation Rising Lion and throughout the war, are on full display. Why? Because our enemies, first and foremost Iran, but also all the terrorist organization who surrounds us, they know very well that they cannot defeat our military, the IDF. You see what's happening everywhere when the IDF has the option to fight with them. We are crushing them. So what are they're trying to do? They are trying to terrorize our civilians. They want to instill fear in their hearts by launching indiscriminate missile and rockets, ground invasion, digging tunnels, etc. And here is exactly this is where exactly the importance of Magen David Adom, because when the people of Israel know, as Uri described, that help is on the way within seconds, so it's very hard to terrorize our people and drive us away from our homeland in fear, or make our children think that we don't have future in the Holy Land, because people feel safe. They know that their government did not abandon them, that we are with them. And Uri described the courageous paramedics and teams of Magen David Adom. And I think it's easy to understand that when Magen David Adom has the best equipment, the best people that are equipped with state-of-the-art equipment, and we are deployed everywhere. We can reach, even wait for the missiles with armored ambulances, with state-of-the-art equipment, so we can save lives much faster. And seconds sometimes is the difference between life and death. So today, the people of Israel, thanks to Magen David Adom, they feel safer. And make no mistake, there's a lot of confusion sometimes, especially outside of Israel. There is only one Magen David Adom, only one national emergency medical response services in Israel. All the others, sometimes we hear of other emergency organizations. Altogether, they address 5% of emergencies in Israel. Like we have one IDF, one national police, there's only one national first emergency first responder, and that is Magen David Adom. The country relies on us, especially these days.
Ambassador Erdan, is it correct to say that basically Magen David Adom is mandated to answer every single call? In other words, by law, and it is regulated so that from the smallest thing to the biggest attack, basically, as opposed to other organizations, this is, as you say, the backbone of the country, mandated by law to give a response in times of routine and in emergency.
Exactly as you described it. Everyone in Israel knows that when something happens, they dial 101. This is our national dispatch call center. We decide who to dispatch. Of course, we decide who can get there first and save lives. And yeah, so the country rely on us. By the way, I forgot to answer your second question regarding trying to assess or predict how long this war will continue. So I think that the enemy is listening to us and watching us. And since, thank God, we are much stronger, and especially now, together with our American allies, we're much, much stronger. So we don't want to give them hope. They are trying to buy time. They hope that this will end soon. And as President Trump said, once we feel that we have reached our objectives, and I described our objectives when it comes to the nuclear capabilities of Iran and their ballistic missile manufacturing and in general their ballistic missiles destroying them. So we will know when to stop, but I think it's a matter of at least few more weeks.
But we're not going to let the Iranians know exactly.
No,
So
for
you're taking
sure,
it a
we're
little
not.
bit, all right, I get you there. Okay, thank you so much. Uri, could you please take us to a human interest story of one paramedic in the last few days? Something that I want the audience to feel with us, to breathe with us, to be in it whilst they are in America or in Canada, and share with us their story, please.
Well, I want to take you back to Saturday night, about 11 p.m. We are 15 hours into the war, about 12 hours after the Iranians started bombing or Israel. And around this time, a ballistic missile hits in the middle of Tel Aviv. It doesn't hit a building directly, rather it hits a street. But when 1,000 pounds of explosive land in the middle of a street of Tel Aviv, it creates massive distractions, influencing at least five buildings, hundreds of apartments. One of the first responder to one of the first professionals arriving to the scene is a young EMT from Magen David Adom. He is from the ultra Orthodox community, and he joins the teams. Now, because we are talking about 5 buildings, the teams are actively going into the buildings, knocking on doors, and trying to see whether the family is safe or they are not safe, if they are in the shelter or in the safe room or not. And at one point, this gentleman, this EMT comes to an apartment, and the apartment is empty, but he hears a baby crying somewhere in one of the rooms, and he moves things around, and he finds a young baby. He picks this baby and he goes down, and he keeps thinking, where are the parents? Where is the family of this baby? Are they trapped under the rebels? Because the destruction is huge. Um, and what am I doing now besides of taking care of this baby? On the stairs, down the stairs, he's checking the baby. The baby has all the vitals. He's not critically injured. But this EMT keeps thinking, what will happen to this young baby? If he lost his family, his life will change forever. But believing that everything will be good, he says, I'm not giving up. I know that this baby is alive. I know he is well. I'm going to find his parents. And he goes from one ambulance to another, open up the door, looking into the ambulance, is there anybody here? And we are talking about dozens of ambulances. We're talking about 60 or 70 ambulances. And each ambulance that he goes and he can't find anyone in the ambulance, he becomes more and more frightened because he thinks of an impossible situation that this baby is all alone. And after 5 or 10 minutes that he's looking, he's opening one of the doors and he sees two young boys together with two parents. And when seeing the look at the parents' eyes, he knows that he found the family because the parents' eyes were the one that they have a missing child and they are thinking about the worst of the worst. And he asked this family, "Is this your baby?" And I spoke to him, and he said, suddenly the eyes of the mother just became like huge, huge, just in front of him, his eyes, and he started seeing tears coming from the mother's eyes, and he hands over the baby, and I kept, as a parent, I can't stop thinking of a better gift in this crazy scenario for Magen David for these parents given by Magen David Adom. And you know what, Ruth? This is not a story about medical professionalism. This is not a story
It's
about
about
the best
humanity
technology. This is the story about the spirit of Magen David Adom. The
and
men and women of
humanity.
Magen
Yeah.
David Adom will
Wow.
never give up. They will go and they will find and they will do whatever needed in order to save others, to bring
I,
hope, to
you
get
know,
the gift of
I'm
life.
a mom. I'm trying, to keep it for all our cynicism in Israel. I can't be cynical about this. This is, I mean, for me, it's very touching, and I'm sure not only for me. So thank you so much for sharing this story, um, and for doing what you're doing. I salute you, and I salute all your colleagues. Um, and I want to revert for a moment to you, Ambassador, and ask you, how do you envision Magen David Adom, not now, not during this particular emergency, but moreover, let's say in a couple of years, how do you foresee us maintaining this being a backbone of the resilience of our people and our country? What needs to happen?
So, when you hear Uri, you understand even deeper how much Israel relies on Magen David Adom's capabilities to saving lives in Israel. And since October 7th, even before, but more after, we have been learning many, drawing, many lessons and conclusions with regard to the future. I hope and we all pray that we will prevail and that we'll see a clear victory in this war against Iran. But I'm sure everyone here on this call understands that even God willing, after we prevail, Israel will still face many challenges. And I'm not talking only about a potential earthquake or a big fire or a tsunami. I'm talking about, sadly, our Muslim enemies who still refuse to acknowledge, to recognize the right of Israel to live and exist as a Jewish state, be it the Palestinian Authority, whatever will happen after the era of President Abbas, or Hamas and Hezbollah that still refuse to disarm, and also with potential new enemies like Egypt or Turkey, or how do they call it? They're called today Turkey. That we see their leaders and what's happening in their society, and we truly understand what we must be fully prepared for every challenge. And I think some of the lessons that I have learned is about the need to be equipped with many more armored equipment, armored ambulances, armored stations. Israel is the only country that needs armored ambulances because we're the only country that our enemies deliberately are targeting our ambulances and paramedics, God forbid. And we have learned that thanks to our blood center, the Marcus Blood Center, and our capability to fly fresh whole blood units, transfusions to the front lines, we were able, together with the military, to save 50% of the wounded soldiers who suffered from loss of blood compared to past wars. This is unheard of. So these helicopters, these armored ambulances, these armored stations, especially the ambulances and the helicopters, every 3 years we need to renew our fleet. And this is something we'll have to think how maybe to establish funds to help us renew them and buy new ones. I think that we understood that we need many more simulators and training centers to train paramedics, local paramedics in each and every city and village, because roads might be blocked in Israel in the future when emergency happens. And one last thing, this is something I discussed with you a lot and with Kathy and with others. I believe that today, when we see anti-Semitism surging, skyrocketing, and Jews all around the world are facing threats, Magen David Adom must expand its responsibilities. As you know, these are our brothers and sisters. We are already training Hatzalah organizations in the United States, but we want to expand it and train many more teenagers and students, be it in the US or in Canada or in Europe, elsewhere. And if something happens, they will train and they will be prepared much better for every emergency. That's how I envision the future of Magen David Adom, not only as the national first response, national EMS of Israel, but the national EMS of the Jewish world.
Which is amazing, and it's very touching. And basically, we already reach out to communities and community engagement and have 7-minute programs to train different communities on how to respond together in
7 minutes or 7 weeks?
7 minutes. No, the weeks is for Iran to await for the huge success. But the reach out to the communities and being part of the Jewish peoplehood in general is something that we want to hone into, and that vision is a huge, I would say, stronghold to which we can aspire. So thank you very much, Gilad. I can also add from my point of view as an expert on Arab affairs that bringing down the Shiite axis headed by the Islamic Republic of Iran with arms such as Hezbollah, Houthis, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and so on, is definitely very, very important, but certainly providing a kind of a free passage, so to speak, to another extremist coalition of countries, a Sunni extremist coalition led by Turkey and Qatar, that are certainly not going to rest with their hatred against Israel and the Jewish people throughout the world. And hence, for sure, I can understand what you're saying about the need of Magen David Adom to be 50 times and 50 steps ahead in terms of technology, in terms of reach out to the communities, in terms of equipment in Israel, in order to be able to answer to all the challenges that still await. So I want to thank both of you for this conversation, and with your permission, perhaps ask one or two questions that have being presented by the audience. So one of the questions is, Ori, for you. Please, can you share with us what are the greatest needs on the ground? How is Magen David coping with the medical supplies under this barrage of, ammunition coming at us? What is tachlis, as we like to say, what is needed? This is a question coming from the audience.
So I agree. I agree with what both Ambassador Erdan and you just said. Magen David Adom has to be prepared on a constant basis, and we've been training for this war during the recent months. But on these days, we are on a competition. Our enemies, our rival in this competition, is trying to take lives in Israel. Magen David Adom is on a race to save lives. And exactly like when we race a 100-meter dash, the heart needs more oxygen than Magen David Adom. It's men and women. The spirit that they represent need the oxygen with medical supply. They know, once they know that they have the medical supplies, once they know that their ambulance are re-equipped, once they know that they have the best equipment, they will go and go and go forever. And this is for the Iranians. We will continue, Magen David Adom will continue to defend life as much as needed. And my answer to the question is, we need those medical supplies, the oxygen that will allow the heart to keep pumping, keep delivering the spirit of life, the professionalism, the commitment, and the dedication.
Thank you very much, Ori, for that. Another question that came from the audience is actually for you, Ambassador Erdan, regarding the issue of regime change in Tehran. Is this something that do you predict will happen? Is it a must? Do you see this as a likely outcome? And how will it affect the greater region if and when there will be a regime change?
Well, I believe that there is a difference between how Israel views the objective of a regime change and how the U.S. Views it. The U.S. has its own negative experience with trying to influence potential regimes throughout the world, especially in the Middle East. So they have set a few realistic objectives with regard to imminent threats that are endangering also the safety and security of the American people. And I can fully understand these objectives. Of course, the American administration as well would like to see regime change because, as we discussed here before, the Iranian regime is an evil regime that wants to explore the Shiite revolution and impose it on the entire world. But for Israel, it's a much more direct threat because, as I described, we are in their neighborhood. They don't need intercontinental ballistic missiles to target us. We are on the same continent with them. They arm the proxies around us. For us, as long as this regime stays, we will have to be prepared also not for the future challenges that you and I described, but we'll continue to fight against Hezbollah and Hamas and Islamic Jihad, etc. So for Israel, it's even more important, aspiring to see a regime change, and we will continue to do whatever is possible to create the best conditions for the Iranian people. And sometimes people don't remember it. I grew up in the southern city of Ashkelon, and I'm telling people about a governmental company in Israel that is called to this day Katza. It's Kav Tzinor Eilat Ashkelon. It's the oil pipeline Eilat Ashkelon because we had a joint governmental company between Iran and Israel before the revolution. And they were sending vessels, ships with oil, tankers to Eilat, to the port of Eilat. And from Eilat, we were transferring the oil and distributing it to all parts of Israel. That's how close we were, because many of the Iranian peoples are true allies of Israel, and we can renew this alliance, hopefully. And I pray, like most of Israelis, to see this regime change happening sooner rather than later.
Thank you very much, Gilad, for your very frank and open response. I'd just like to, first of all, say from my point of view, we are one. The Jewish peoplehood and Israel is one, no matter what our opinions, political, what our views. We're one. And as such, this unity, this work together with the communities, with the diaspora is huge. It's really a backbone of resilience. And I call on you, if you have delegations coming to the Maccabiah as yet another issue pertaining to this unity, this is something that we would love to hear about. Reach out to the Friends Society near you to let us know so that we can host you in the blood bank and we can show you everything that you've heard this evening, that you can see with your own eyes and ears. This is something that you will never forget. And also, please follow us online on the Instagram and on other social media. Watch what we do. Watch our paramedics risk their lives 24/7 so that you can feel with us what they go through. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for your time and for your sincerity. Ori, I salute you for what you do and for what you stand for. And I mean that with, I don't know, all of my heart. And I want to also thank the Friends Societies that are with us, both the Americans and the Canadians, and to pass on to Kathy to close this event. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ruth.
Thank
Some of
you.
the questions that came through as well before the event were, how can people help? And I think Uri started to touch upon that. And I'd like to give you some very candid ways that you could help at this current time. Uri mentioned the fact that the Homefront Command has asked MADA to increase its reserve blood supply by 60%. And that's one of the reasons that we are having emergency blood drives across the country. Having those emergency blood drives and needing to process so much more blood in order to make sure that we can meet the needs of the nation means we need blood processing and testing packages. And that is an important need that we'd like to have people consider. Another area of need is for protective gear, helmets and flak jackets for our EMTs and paramedics who are in the ambulances, many of whom are in their private cars, but also for our metacycle medics so that they can be as safe as we can make them when they are going out and working to rescue and treat people who've been injured in this terrible situation. When Israel has a national crisis, the calls come in to MADA's dispatch and they grow exponentially in number. If in a normal every day it's 6,000, there were days during the Gaza war where we hit 20,000 calls. So we need to be able to expand our ability to handle dispatch calls. We're looking for emergency dispatch system backup packages, which are laptops and multiple screens and peripherals that will enable dispatchers to work from shelters or from mamads. And that's another area where people can help us to make a difference. And then finally, trauma kits. They are the first thing that is often used to treat a patient, and we need to make sure that we have enough on hand. Certainly, as the war drags on, that's going to be something that we're going to be looking for help. If you would like to help us, we want to encourage you to go to our website, which is www.afmn.org. and there you can make a gift, or you can find our local office where you can reach out and speak to someone about what you would like to do. I want to thank you for joining us today. I want to thank our wonderful speakers who gave us so much valuable information and insight. And please be safe and vigilant. And Am Yisrael Chai. Goodbye.
Am Yisrael Chai.
Thank you.
Am Israel Chai. Thank you, everyone.